to insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency.
She's funny, too. She's funny also. Because as far as I know, he's the only president I've ever heard of who sells his own Bible and watch.
Jimmy Kimmel mocking Trump press secretary over his apparent crypto grift. Trump holding a dinner last night for the top 220 buyers of his personal name-branded cryptocurrency. I just want to be careful for those of you who don't follow currencies well. These meme coins are not currency as you think it is. Trump speaking to attendees with the presidential seal in front of him. You can see it there. Trump also suggesting that he would promote the crypto industry. All this despite his press secretary claiming that Trump was appearing in his personal capacity.
The president is attending it in his personal time. It is not a White House dinner. It's not taking place here at the White House.
Multiple dinner guests telling the Times, quote, they attended the event with the explicit intent of influencing Mr. Trump and U.S. financial regulations, end quote. On average, attendees reportedly bought around $2 million of crypto coin. A top ethics watchdog calling the dinner, quote, one of the most blatant and appalling instances of selling access to the presidency ever. This adding to the laundry list of ethics concerns, including the $400 million Qatari jet, the real estate deals in the Middle East, and a whole lot of other things. Joining me now, Leah Littman, law professor with the University of Michigan, co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast and author of the newly released Lawless, How the Supreme Court Runs on Conservative Grievance, Fringe Theories, and Bad Vibes. Leah, great to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know where to start with this. People have given donations to a party or a cause or a presidential library for a long time, and there are real questions about how much of that should be allowed or regulated. But this is the purchasing of something with no intrinsic value, the benefit of which goes directly to the president of the United States and his family corporation. That's just all it is. You know, back when we worried about emoluments and that little getting a hotel room, that was quaint.
Right. No, exactly. He's turned the presidency into an emoluments R Us. The idea that anyone who buys this meme coin now can get access to the free world, the leader of the free world, only it turns out it's not so free. The average cost is about $1.5 million, which is about 500 times the limit of campaign contributions. And so the amount of money it takes to get influence over policy and access to these political officials is just grotesque. And of course, not everyone can afford that. It creates this picture of a government that is for sale, a government not by the people, but a government for people who can actually buy into these insane meme coin dinners.
And we, you know, there's been some estimate from Bloomberg that Donald Trump has doubled his net worth since winning the election. You saw that trip around the Middle East. I mean, picked up something everywhere he went. He almost got a Trump Tower in Damascus, too. But one of the most interesting things is this airplane that he told a story about how it was gifted. It was a free gift. And when you go there and you park your Air Force One next to all these fantastic airplanes, you know, we need something better. Monday night, I'm reading all these reports that none of that turns out to have been true. This was an absolute deliberate effort led by Trump's guy, Steve Witkoff, to get him a new plane.
No, he is just soliciting gifts or grifts, as the case may be. He apparently approached the Qataris for this jet. The jet was a hand-me-down that they were trying to offload. They managed to offload it, you know, onto the president of the United States. He's now asking the leaders of other foreign governments if they have a plane they can offer him, as we all saw in the White House meeting with the president of South Africa. And I think you can really draw a through line from what the Supreme Court has said constitutes corruption to what the president is doing, because what they've said is influence and access over political officials, even when it's purchased, just isn't corrupt. And that's led to them acting like, well, they are entitled to be kept men and just to be lavished with these gifts in large S. And you can see that in the behavior of the president, who also thinks he can just jet around the world asking for planes, resorts, investments, meme coins, you name it.
Yeah, and in fact, the South African president did say something like, well, I wish I had a plane I could give you. Like, it's just so out there now that this is an actual thing. Are we happier that no one even pretends otherwise anymore? Or does just this normalize the idea that politics has been not the fairest thing in America as it relates to money for several years now, and now we're just going to not pretend that it's anything other than this?
I'm concerned about the normalization aspect of this, because I think they are doing this out in the open in an effort to kind of thumb their noses against the rules. And if this was the sort of stuff that was reported on and broken and not publicized, I think it would code as a scandal.
Right.
They just come out and admit it, and then they treat it as if this is just how government works.
Right. They treat the reporters who ask the questions like you're the idiots.
Right.
So I guess the question is, What we have learned and what we learned in Trump 1.0 is that enforcement mechanisms on things that we thought are enforceable in many cases just don't exist, particularly as we learned with campaign finance. There's virtually no enforcement of campaign finance. What happens to a thing like this?
Well, this is a real problem. And when you say there's no enforcement of campaign finance, this is one of the things the Supreme Court has taken a hatchet to. You know, as I kind of describe in the book, they have demolished campaign finance law as well as political corruption law. And I think they are really enabling this new oligarchy and a rise in authoritarianism because they are just declining to enforce laws that restrain the president or that restrain political corruption, except for the laws that they like, based on this very overly narrow definition of corruption as only involving a quid pro quo bribery. And they just insist that nothing else is corruption, and that's just how government works.
But and when we look at, when you look at all the stuff that went on in the Middle East, how hard is it to indicate that there's a quid pro quo there? You, Saudi Arabia, want something, I get a hotel. You, Qatar, want something, I get a plane and a golf course. Even the Syrians, I mean, there seems to be a deal everywhere, and it gets hidden under the fact that, oh, Qatar bought 50 planes from Boeing, so it's good for America.
This is part of the problem with this overly narrow definition of quid pro quo corruption, because we can point to a lot of things. For example, them basically dismantling the unit in the Department of Justice that prosecutes foreign bribery and attempts to penalize foreign bribery. That might be a quid pro quo, but there might not be an explicit agreement that they receive the plane in order to dismantle this unit, or they receive the plane in order to adjust the tariffs. And so the court has made it just impossibly difficult to police corruption, because rarely, if ever, is there going to be a note that says,
in exchange for this, yes,
I'll do this tariff rate.
Right.